Am I turned? Okay, how's that? Hey guys, how's it going? First of all, I'm very, very excited about being with you guys today. Just so you know, and Tanya, that was, where'd she go? That was awesome. I need to learn more about Joan of Arc. It's interesting about history, and I'm going to just give you a little foundation of how the other side works with history. It was Karl Marx back in 1800s who said very simply, the first battleground is rewriting of history. When we lose our history, we lose our pride in our past and our vision for the future. So learning a little bit more about some of the nuances about how great this country is and how we got to where we are from people like Joan of Arc, something I had no idea. But it's also very, very important for us to know, all of us to know. Just so you know, I'm going to talk the next few minutes. My talk when I arrived here at 8:30 was different than what I'm going to give you. Walking into this place and hearing a little bit about the Spirit, and feeling the Spirit and hearing it from Tina, the Spirit that is important for all of us to understand. Kind of I tweaked it a little bit. So I'm hoping some of you will enjoy, all right? Let me just start off by giving you a little bit of background, because I think it all starts from knowing why I'm as strong as I am about what I believe in, why I'm such a proud American, why I know from the bottom of my heart this is the greatest place in the history of mankind, and we're blessed to be alive today to defend it, to defend her. And it starts from me understanding of, you guys getting a little bit of background on my history. I grew up in the Deep South, Tallahassee, Florida, back in the 60s. Days of segregation, KKK. And I was so proud to be growing up in this segregated community in Tallahassee, where we were taught things like patriotism, love for country. I had a chance to see live. I don't have to. It's not a hypothesis to me. I've seen what it is to have a good family unit, because our race was leading our country at that time in terms of what men did for their families. I grew up in a family where mom and dad were mom and dad. They did what all moms and dads did around those days. They protected, they provided, they gave vision for their kids, they disciplined us. They made sure we understood the love of family and country. I grew up around entrepreneurs, academia. I grew up during a time, basically where many of you grew up, where we just had such a belief and love for our nation because we had such a great generation before us. Back in 1905, a little history of the black community. Because what you find out is that every culture, it doesn't matter what background, what color, what religion, when we come to this country and we assimilate and we gain an understanding of what it means to have freedom and opportunity and be able to take risk, we all have the same results. What happened to the black community 40 years after slavery? 1905. 1905. There's a little town, a little college called Tuskegee University, started by Booker T. Washington back in 1885. Alabama, Deep South. It was producing more self-made millionaires than Harvard, Princeton, and Yale combined in 1905. That's a shocker, isn't it? They had over 16 different countries from around the world, China, Russia, Africa, just to name a few. They were rushing to Tuskegee to learn what these technologies, these agriculture techniques that these black Americans were producing at the time. 40s, 50s, and 60s, it was the black community that led our country in terms of the commitment of men to marriage, over 70%. Led our country in terms of percentage of entrepreneurs, 40%. Led our country in terms of men committed to education. We led our country in the growth of the middle class. And yet here we are at the very bottom of every single success indicator that there is. You see, why I love this country, I guess I can say it best, it's a place of second chances. One of the things that I was taught, and I'm going to read something from my book, it's called Liberalism, or How to Turn Good Men into Whiners, Weenies, and Wimps, all right? Let me just tell you something about what I learned about womanhood growing up. I want to share this with you because it's why I'm so excited about this opportunity and for women to understand how important you are to get our country back. You are actually at the very, very front line. When our young women refuse to lower their standards, it forces our young men to raise theirs. It is the power of motherhood that defines the character and heart of our nation. The environment they design for our children today will define the souls and visions of our leaders tomorrow, both inside and outside the home. You truly are on the front line for us. And it's time for us to get our men to man up, to recognize it, to do whatever it takes to protect, defend, and provide for womanhood. Because once we do our job, you do your job, and we get our country back. I want to share something with you, because I think it's important to understand that God has a perfect plan. I'm standing here before you today because of struggles that my ancestors went through. Tanya mentioned her background, and I was able to 5 years ago to stumble across a little bit of my background. I know it was there because God put it there for me. It was some information. My dad passed away. He was an all-time hero. Passed away, and I was going through this stuff just to kind of put things in place, and stumbled across this document that I'm sure it was given to him by his mom, and I'm sure Dad never saw it. Dad just happened to be one of those guys that once he got something, he was going to keep it. You know, he just found a place to stack it, but he's going to hold on to it. So thank goodness he wasn't like I do every 7 years. I just start throwing stuff away. He held on to it. And it was about my great-great-grandfather, Silas Burgess. Silas Burgess in 1848 came to the United States in the belly of a slave ship. He was sold on an auction block in Charleston, South Carolina with his mother and younger brother. He was sold to the Burgess plantation. That's where I get my name from. And I'm so thankful that through the process, I ended up being the one that got Burgess. It's just amazing how it worked. I won't go through all that right now, but I'm so proud of that name. But Burgess the owner was a very, very evil man, very, very bad person. By the time Silas was 8, he was orphaned. But he was fortunate to have around him, even though these men were enslaved physically, they were free mentally. There's a difference. Physical slavery, it's just, one thing about physical slavery, as long as you're thinking, you're going to figure out a way to get out. You're going to figure out there's always hope. There's always some place you can get going. There's always that chance at risk, and you want to take it again. Mental slavery is a whole different ballgame. You're giving up. It's the worst bondage I can ever think a person go through because it's hopelessness. And we have no idea how that feels, none of us in this room. There are people in this world that actually are hopeless, and it's sad to see that. He was able to escape and went the southern route of the Underground Railroad. And that southern route went through Texas and Mexico. It was facilitated by Mexican and German Americans. Now, this is all stuff I didn't know until 5 years ago. But that route allowed him to go through, get to Smithville, Texas, where he started with the railroad, became an entrepreneur, ended up buying 100 acres of land that he paid off in 2 years, started the first black church, the first black elementary school, became a pillar of his community, was a Republican, and he loved our country. And 2 words that define him, that actually defined my dad. I mean, it's amazing when I read about my great-great-grandfather, I did know him. I met him through my dad. But he was fiercely independent, which I would like for people to consider me at the end of my day, fiercely independent. Can't be any better as an American being fiercely independent. The most important thing was that with all that evil that he experienced, coming across those oceans with slave owners, and that was a horrendous, I can't even imagine, experience as a young 8-year-old, young man, to go to this plantation where he experienced all this evil. And yet, because this was experienced by these Christians that he was able to travel with, went from South Carolina to Texas, he became a Christian. He became someone for the rest of his life was committed to Christ. His oldest son was named Alpha Omega. Can we get any more than that? And that seed that was planted so deep that it allowed me to, 30 years ago, say, I need to get back myself. I need to find my way back the way I've been taught to grow up, my upbringing. And I have a tremendous love for Christ and our Heavenly Father today. And that's what drives it. Tina just said it perfectly. I'm one of those guys, and it was just the way we were taught. I could care less what other people say. I can care less what other people think. But that's the American way, isn't it, really? Isn't that really what we're all about? That's what we've always been about? We just have to get back to this. Because the minute we get drawn into groupthink, we've lost the battle. So, what my great-great-grandfather Silas Burgess experienced is what I remember in the 7th grade became my passion. It's interesting how this works out, because 7th grade, my all-time hero from that point into the day was Harriet Tubman. Isn't that amazing? Harriet Tubman, a person who left slavery, went north, but unlike so many other people, kept coming back. She came back time and time again and helped hundreds of people to experience freedom because she was willing to risk her life to make sure they experienced what she experienced. Her comment was, I was free, they ought to be free. That's the comment that she said. So that being said, she was a conductor, but along the way there also has to be way stations. It's a team effort. It's great to be the person that comes back and forth, but you need to have places along the way that allows you to know there's a safe haven. There's a place to get nourished. There's a place to be encouraged, to take another day, another step, because you're getting closer to that dream. So conductors and way stations have been the American way. We just happen to see it during that period of time we run the railroad. And it's happening today. We talked about Bert. Bert Spinner was a conductor. You know, he went out and became successful in business. But he turned that around to open the doors and to be able to speak of and be able to encourage those to understand freedom. This is a way station for people to come to know they can be nourished, to hear about freedom. And that is the American way. It's what we do to make sure we're encouraging people along the way. And Kathy, I want to thank you so much for understanding this importance of this concept of freedom. You know, America is a place that there's never been anything like it ever in the history of mankind, and it never will be. This is God's place. This is a place that He's actually, throughout the eons of times, have set aside in a perfect manner, has put in a place where we have two fantastic, wide, big oceans to protect us from east and west, and two free countries, north and south. In a place that, for eons, no one even knew where we were. And when it was time for us to know who we were, they came here looking for freedom. Isn't it kind of neat to know, you know, and I won't go through all the history, but the fact that the Pilgrims, they were pushed way off course. They weren't supposed to land where they did. They was trying to get south, and the winds just wouldn't let them get there. So they said, okay, this must be a sign. But before leaving that ship, they signed the Mayflower Compact. They signed something that allowed this covenant. The first between God and man to start a nation, and that's what we live under today. So we need to, again, keep in mind that we do have a mission here. We do have a mission, and we do have a fight. And the greatest part of that mission for all of us is to understand the power of womanhood. When it's all said and done, what a true man is all about is one who understands that, and he'll give his life up for that. And what was said earlier was so powerful. You know, womanhood is all about nurturing, producing, I'm sure that's one thing that Eve probably got early. I have a chance to be a mother. So we need to make sure that we keep that in mind. And Mom's Talk is a great opportunity to do that. I'm just so glad to be part of this initiation, or I guess whatever, inauguration. All right. Yeah, I'm initiating too. Anyway, inauguration. Because this is so important. And once we get mothers across the country to, again, recognize who they are and why we're here. And it's for those little ones that we have to nurture and guide and make sure that we're being their conductors, that you're being their conductors, and that we're all being their way stations. If we understand that, that's the generation that's coming behind us and what they can do. I personally work with young people. I'm going to wrap up with this. I've had a mission that I've felt all my life since I was in college. I had no idea what it was. I had no idea what it really meant or how it was going to look. I just knew somewhere in my lifetime, when I left NFL in '83, I'm here to change the trajectory of my race. And I know the change the trajectory of my race is going to change the trajectory of our country. I know that. How that's going to look, I have no idea. Until now. So it's nice to know that I'm doing something that I feel my life has been purposely put in place, the ups and downs. And keep in mind, everyone, believe it or not, goes through ups and downs. It's life. Embrace it. At some point, you look back and say, my goodness, I'm so glad of God's unanswered prayers. You know the old country song, God's unanswered prayers? Have anybody heard that one? It's a great one. I've gotten into country music the last 3 or 4 weeks. I don't know how that happened, but I'm loving it. God's unanswered prayers is a great one. When you realize that, you recognize that everything we've gone through is to get us to where we are today. If you believe, you're happy, if you're pleased with where you are today, not that it's perfect, then you know it all had to happen to get you there. So be thankful for it. Be grateful for it. Be thankful that we're living in a time in this country where you can make a difference. Our country's under attack in a big way. And you have been placed at this particular time with your experiences, your family, your courage to come out and be engaged to help bring us back. And I want to thank you for that. And I think I'm going to wrapping this thing up. Let me just say this, my last few thoughts. I played for 10 years. The talk I was going to give you now, initially was called the 13th season. I won't get into that one. It's going to take way too long. But the 13th season was all about all the years of defeats, all the years of discouragement, all the years that allowed me to actually, through that process, become an eternal optimist. Because when you're going through tough times, you have a choice. You can either quit or you can figure out a way to get through it one more day. And my way to get through it one more day was, it's got to get better than this. It's got to get better than this. And when you think that way, eventually you start believing, what? It's going to get better than this. Know that we're in the 13th season of our country's lifetime. And that's the time when we get that Super Bowl. It's 12 years of losing to one day get to a Super Bowl championship. And that championship is a confirmation that everything we were going through those tough years was worth it. And it's those 12 years of tough times that we learn our lessons. Love, service, empathy, commitment, courage. That's when we learn our lessons. The 13th is a confirmation. We will get our 13th, our confirmation, by you guys doing exactly what you're doing right now. Continue to highlight what mothers are all about, the value that you are to our country, to our kids, to our families, to every single man that has any common sense, that has any common sense at all. Sometimes it takes a while to get common sense, but it's in there somewhere. But thank you guys for that. And thank you for Mom's Talk, and thank you for the opportunity to be part of it. And let's keep it going, okay? All right, thank you guys.